Hello, my name is Tony. Christopher Berard has requested a review of this on several occasions, God knows why, but being the sort of pleasant and accommodating chap I am, I thought a short once-over wouldn't hurt. So, review then. Blue Ice is a modestly budgeted 1992 Michael Caine time waster. I didn't see it in the cinema, but on VHS. Caine was still going through this career period.
I said, I haven't seen it. I said, but I've seen the house it bought my mother, and it's marvellous.
Blue Ice is crap. End of review. Now if anyone else would like to request a review of an equally trivial piece of cinematic doggerel, don't hesitate to keep it to yourself. Wait a minute, you say, that's not what we pay you for? Well, you don't pay me, so try again. Alright, we don't come here to be given such short shrift. No? Well, where do you go? We expect better of you than this bush. Really? Well, I suppose you do at that. I've spoilt you, which is my fault, not yours, and it's too late to go back now. So I'll force myself to sit through the eye-blisteringly lousy and blatantly careless shovelware that is the Blue Ice VHS to DVD transfer, and deliver something a bit more detailed. That do you? If not, tough buns, 'cause it's all you're getting. Ted Albury was a prolific writer of espionage novels. Blue Ice is based on some of his characters with name changes. The core character, Harry Anders, was Tad Anders in 3 of his thrillers. Screenwriter Ron Hutchinson knocked out the script right out of the realm of quality screenplays, to be precise. Director Russell Mulcahy had a long history of hacking out music videos for the likes of Culture Club and Duran Duran, and he gave the world Highlander, the classic fantasy actioner with Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery that probably represents his most highly regarded, financially and critically successful work. Cinematography is by Dennis Crossan, who now works on the popular Outlander series, with music by the late Michael Kamen, supplemented by some familiar jazz standards. Cast list is none too shabby, headed by Caine, supported by a roster of ever-dependable Brits, Ian Holm, Alan Armstrong, Bob Hoskins and Jack Shepherd, along with some familiar stock faces. Caine's love interest is Sean Young, who made such a stylish and sexually charged impact in Blade Runner and No Way Out. I would say it could have been better, but that's pointless because most things could have been better, and if they're good already, it's sometimes a bit churlish to point that out. So I'll revise and say that with the talent involved, it should have been better, but it wasn't, because along the way, somehow or other, a lot of shit just went wrong or didn't work. Harry Anders, Michael Caine, is at a funeral. He explains to an elderly peripheral mourner, Patricia Hayes, how the deceased bought the farm. He was killed by blue ice. A chunk of ice fell off the toilet compartment of an airliner near Heathrow and crashed down on his car. As it originated from a flying crap house, brown ice might have been a more appropriate term, but it doesn't sound quite as classy. The title is a metaphor for something unexpected and out of the blue impacting on someone's life. Well, that's that out of the way. Title explained. Stacey Mansdorf, Sean Young, is driving through London. She gets a call on her car phone. Remember those? There was even a warehouse named after them. The call is from an ex-boyfriend, Kyle Todd Boyce, who's in a bit of a panic and gives her some letters and numbers to write down. So she's on a car phone listening to this jerk writing shit down and driving all at once. No wonder then that she rear-ends Harry at a junction. That's not a euphemism for anything, but it could be later. Although he's incensed by her dismissive attitude and the fact he has to chase her all over town when she drives away from the scene, Harry is smitten by her glamorous looks and flirty manner. Cornering her, he invites her back to his jazz club and bar. Jazz as in music, not magazine. But that might change later. Oh look, it does. It's not long before they're at it like knives. You may wonder why Stacey is so instantly attracted to Harry, a man for whom middle-aged and a lived-in face will soon be a distant memory, replaced by old age and a soon-to-be died-in face. When you meet her husband, American ambassador to Great Britain, Louis Mansdorf, Alan McNaughton, you'll understand. He's about 103 years old and counting. To say she goes for the more mature man is something of an understatement. She goes for the man who makes most redwoods look like fucking saplings. Anyhow, Harry used to be in the military, then an accomplished MI5 spook, until he killed someone his superiors told him not to. As he explains it to Stacey, he took the offending Czech agent to the roof of a high building. When Stacey asks what happens next, he says, "And you'll love this."
The check bounced.
Get it? The check bounced. Everyone a fucking winner, right? Oh dear God. Right, Stacey's husband doesn't care if she fucks around. I mean, at his age, he probably doesn't know the time of day, his arsehole from a pineapple, or who she is anyway, come to that, but they have an understanding, depending on how much the old guy can reasonably understand. He's like Joe Biden's less mentally and physically agile older brother. She asks Harry to find Kyle who's gone missing, and he agrees to do so, because sex with beautiful women makes you both stupid and reckless. She neglects to mention that Kyle works for US military intelligence, was running surveillance at London docks, or about the letters and numbers he gave her over the phone, because why would you? What possible relevance could any of this stuff have? In order to find Kyle, Harry ropes in his friend Osgood, Alan Armstrong, a corrupt Scotland Yard cop. Harry finds Kyle dead in a grubby hotel room with a hole through his forehead, and Osgood equally dead on the hotel roof with his throat cut as the killer escapes with casual ease. Harry then ropes in his other friend Garcia, Bob Hoskins, a security consultant. Garcia winds up tortured and stabbed to death. I don't think Harry has any more friends, and it's easy to see why. Then Harry is approached in his club by British agent Stevens, Jack Shepherd, who tricks him in going to an old safe house. Here he is drugged and interrogated with a vein full of hallucinogenic truth serum in him. He can't tell anyone much because, thanks to Stacey, he doesn't know anything. The man behind Harry's interrogation is his old MI5 boss, Sir Hector, Ian Holm. Next thing you know, Harry's club blows up, luckily with just a house pianist in it. Film like this needs an explosion, and it gets one. The equivalent of a cheap bonfire night jack-in-a-box going off. And the rest of it is about some illegal arms smuggling and Harry figuring it out and who's doing what and why, but it's not exactly puzzle of the century, and the denouement is pretty fucking humdrum, and most will get there if they still care enough to be interested long before Harry does. We're going to do positives and negatives and then a conclusion, okay? I don't know why I'm asking, I just said it's what we're going to do, so that's it. There is no debate, here we go. Positives, it's harmless enough. Kane is chipper in manner and gamely tries to convince in the running, jumping, sexual activities and shooting scenes. He's not taking it seriously, but then neither is anyone else. Good value is provided by Armstrong, Hoskins, Holm and Shepherd in their supporting capacities. Harry's interrogation scene is the most creative thing in the film, but clearly Mulcahy had seen Jacob's Ladder and thought, I can do that stuff. The multiple Harrys populating the fever dream is smart and clever and well executed. It goes on a touch too long and exposes Mulcahy's pop video leanings. Mute the sound and play the specials Ghost Town or Alice Cooper's Clones instead, and you've got an instant music vid, pop pickers.
This storm is coming like a ghost town.
I'm a clone, I'm good and I'm fine. I'm running more of the way. I'm too doctor, he's on the line. We'll take incubation another day. I'm all alone, so are we all. We're all clones, all are one and one are all are one and one are all.
Overall, Yip Crestfile did it better. Sean Young has a delicious looking bare backside. Sexist? Probably, but for me it's a positive, and I'm reaching. For positives, that is, not Sean's backside. Although, you don't have to think or concentrate, so drink as much as you like, smoke dope and drop acid while watching it. Cayman's soundtrack is okay, and the jazz standards are replicated okay. The late and great Charlie Watts of the Rolling Stones pops up as a drummer of the house band in Harry's jazz club. Always welcome, Charlie Watts, reminded me of how much I miss the guy. The scene where Harry breaks into Stephen's house, trashes his vinyl jazz collection and calmly shoots him in the arm, pleased me no end. Would have pleased me even more if he'd shot him in the face, but hey. The finale on the docks with a huge mobile container crane chasing Kane's stunt double down is moderately engaging. Ian Holm, winding up on the end of a hook swinging high above a ship, raised a smile, as it reminded of a childhood pantomime. Like Peter Pan had morphed into a guy in a black trench coat with a semi-automatic machine pistol. And the noirish night scenes, especially those involving Kyle's hotel and the rooftop chase, are cool and shadowy and atmospheric. Negatives. There's an awful lot of second-hand clobber in this film. I don't see much of Ted Albury's material in there. A shame, because Ted Albury knew his stuff. How's that? Well, I've read some of his novels and know, or I've been told, that Ted was a lieutenant colonel in the Special Operatives Executive between 1940 to 1947. He was reportedly the only British Secret Service agent to be parachuted into Nazi Germany during World War II. In the Cold War, he was caught and tortured for running agents across the border between East and West Germany. So the insight and detail he brought to his espionage fiction was pretty damn convincing. Harry Anders is Harry Palmer minus the glasses and youth. He's ex-military, an amateur gourmet cook, and worked for MI5. We've been here before. Blue Ice aspires to be a glamorous and slick espionage action flick, but it looks shrunk in the wash and wrung out. Set in a depressed-looking London, where the sky is always grey and the sun never shines, which, although true to life, looks like shit on the screen. The visuals best suit a fly-on-the-wall documentary about Billingsgate Fish Market rather than a high-concept spy thriller. They're deadly dull and lifeless. The night scenes fare better. On Blu-ray it might be a different story, but it's not available on Blu-ray, so who the fuck knows? I'm using my imagination, not the best indicator of anything. Here, I'll change the sky on this image and spruce it up a bit. Any better? Well, no, not really. The script is listlessly mediocre, and in keeping with that level of mediocrity would be the utterly wooden performance given by Sean Young. It's a role that ideally requires a certain sexual dynamic, the sort of smouldering erotic blast you'd get from Kathleen Turner in Body Heat or Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct, sizzling femme fatales, or indeed, like Sean Young was in No Way Out. Here though, she's as stimulating as wet haddock. If you're a cold fish fetishist, maybe you'll view it differently, but I'm not, so I don't. To conclude, if you're stuck indoors alone on a gloomy Sunday afternoon with nothing to do and your partner hasn't left you yet depressing and it's pissing down buckets outside and you have access to strong alcohol, fire up the DVD player or browse your way to YouTube and you might find it passable entertainment for 100 or so minutes. But keep your expectations low, very low, is all I'm saying. Thanks for your time and attention. If anyone other than Chris Berard has watched this video, and even he might have given it a miss, I'll adhere to the standard operating procedure, and clutching at straws as you do, request please take the time to hit like, didn't like, leave a comment or subscribe. If this is the first thing you're seeing on here, I know it's not exactly encouraging, but honestly there is better stuff on the channel. No, really, there is. I mean it, there is.